Good afternoon. I can hardly believe it's only been 7 days since the first episode of this. Last time we spoke, I informed you all of my plans: quit my job, travel the world, find a city I really want to call home, and start a company. The plans haven't changed, but my order of execution has. Please allow me to explain. Originally, I wanted to get out of the country as soon as possible, find myself, and hopefully get inspiration for a company, which I would start either while I was on the road or in my new home somewhere, hopefully in Western Europe. Since then, I've done a lot of research that I'll fill you in on, and I've decided to rearrange the plan a bit. I'm still going to quit my job around June and move to my parents to save some money. But instead of using a month with them to plan a trip, I'm going to spend that month, or maybe a little more than a month, working on a new business venture and hopefully build something that's going to generate passive income that will allow me to travel with less worries. So let's back up a little bit. After my last episode, I spent all my free time this week researching websites about being a digital nomad, which I mentioned I had learned about. I followed link after link. I went to multiple blogs, resource lists, chat programs, work efficiency tools, freelance hiring sites, and a whole bunch more. But one site caught my particular attention that I want to mention. It's called smartpassiveincome.com. And somehow I ran across this 3-podcast series that the owner of the website does. And I'll link to that series below in case you wanted to listen to it yourself. But it explains passive income and how to make it work. I won't get into the specifics today, but maybe I'll cover the topic in a future episode about how I'm implementing it. But essentially the goal is to find a niche or a niche. I gotta pick one. I'm used to niche, so I'll go with that. Find a niche topic, develop a website that provides the user with value, build a following from that niche market, and provide content that they'll either pay for or that they would return to view or generate enough viewers, which would thereby generate enough traffic to earn advertising revenue via something like AdSense, or ideally you get revenue from both streams. Now there's a lot more to it than that. There's membership website options, product-based passive income, choosing the right kind of advertising for the website, but that's the basic idea. So you may be asking yourself, while I'm talking about all of this, whatever happened to freelancing? And yes, that was my main income plan just 7 days ago. And I did take 6 hours or so, over a couple of days, setting up a profile on Upwork.com. I included a great description of myself and my work, a portfolio of example project plans and process flows and training videos and all kinds of other things, so that potential companies could review it when I submit a proposal. But then as I looked through all the different jobs that were offered, I got this horrible sinking feeling. And if I'm being really honest, being a project manager and just continuing to trade my time for money sounds like a terrible idea. So it just sounds awful. So even if it does mean being able to travel, it also means sporadic income and a lot of unknowns, and I really think that I could do better. Now, the idea of passive income is that you batch your work. So when you start this type of business, you work full-time, you come up with a solid idea, research the market, build a website, create valuable content that your readers would want, and that might be in the form of blog posts, videos, ebooks, or whatever it is that makes the most sense for that particular audience. And you launch it with a plan for generating traffic, which will include search engine optimization and all sorts of things like that. Then once the initial work is done, you can let the business generate revenue while you take a break and monitor and adjust things as needed. Over time, if the business is successful, the audience just grows on its own and your breaks can become longer. With any luck, you're only working a couple of hours a week on upkeep or generating new content, and you're outsourcing any critical functions to other people, while the revenue continues to come in, either because more people are finding the website and buying the content, or the traffic is consistently high enough for solid ad revenue. Not a bad way to run a business if you ask me. And with my own background in technology and business, I think that I could be successful at this kind of work. I just really hope that websites are a bit easier to build now, because the last one I built was in 8th grade, when one could simply go to a website they thought looked cool and copy paste their HTML into GeoCities. And then bam, you've got some scrolling frames and some black flashing backgrounds and some marquee text. I think I'm onto something here. But seriously, I've been giving a lot of thought to what kind of audience I could serve with this type of business model. And as always is a good idea in these situations, I've been explaining my plan to my close friends to get their input One particular friend I talked to this week was tossing around the idea of creating YouTube videos to teach motorcycle owners how to do simple fixes on their bikes, particularly Harleys. And he noted that he's looked up videos in the past and there isn't much out there. And to get a bike service can be really expensive depending on the work to be done. So at first glance, this seemed like a really great business opportunity. I personally know a little bit about motorcycles and used to own a Harley. However, I would have to partner with my friend in order to do this kind of business. But I thought, hey, if people are willing to shell out $1,000 for a service that they could do themselves, they might be willing to pay for videos or pay for certain manuals or things like that to do this kind of work. So yesterday I started doing the market research phase of the business to determine if there's actually a market for this kind of site and how much competition is out there. I'll discuss how I did that in another episode. I used a tool called Market Samurai and then Google's keyword searching via their AdWords product. But my summary findings essentially are that it doesn't really look promising. There's plenty of competition actually out there. There were plenty of nice looking videos, professionally done videos by mechanics on YouTube. And it doesn't seem like there were enough people actually searching Google for this particular topic. So when you combine those things, it doesn't look like it's a viable business opportunity. But no frets. I was kind of excited for a couple of days, but now I realize that that's not going to probably be the best option. But this is how it goes when you're trying to start a business. So my short-term goal is to find a few different viable business ideas through market research online, Googling and using as much resources as I can, and I'm also going to talk to more friends and hopefully pick one particular idea to execute on. I've been brainstorming, like I said, and I'm going to continue to research, and with any luck, I'll be able to share with you my plan for my execution, assuming I can pick a topic, during next week's episode. Since it's still early March, I have a couple of months to get everything set up and see if it's going to generate any revenue before leaving for my full-time job. I've also requested a week off in April so that I can dedicate some more time to this venture and figuring out the business side of things. In other news, I've been researching storage facilities for when I move. I've decided in the short term to store everything, as it looks like I can rent a large enough facility for between $50 and $70 a month if I just drive a couple of hours outside the city. I'll visit a couple of these places during my week off to make sure they're in decent locations and the prices online are up to date, so I'll confirm all of that during that break. I also spoke to my apartment complex about breaking my lease because I was really worried about the cost of that. And at first it looked like it was going to be $4,000 in penalties, which is terrifying, especially since I'm going to not have a job. But it looks like there's a second option in which I can play it by ear. And that would entail me to give them a move-out date, allowing them to put my apartment on the market while I'm still here, and then being flexible about moving out if they don't find someone for that date. Incredibly, this is actually ideal, so I'm happy about that since I can wait for them to find someone to move in, and then I can give my work notice after. And the only penalty with this method is I have to pay for 11 days that they need between when I move out and when the next tenants move in, so they have time to clean. So one more to-do item checked off my list. Regarding the freelancing, I am still planning to apply for at least a few jobs in early May if my business venture isn't starting to take off so that I have hopefully some backup income. Although I have read it can be very difficult to get initial freelancing jobs, so we'll see how that goes. So things have taken another minor turn, but I'm getting more and more excited about the future. Next week I'm planning to talk about the first draft of the business plan and how I'm keeping all these things that I'm doing organized. I'm also in the middle of reading The 4-Hour Workweek, which is a New York Times bestseller, all about passive income and being able to spend more time on the things that excite you rather than working. So I may discuss that as well or come back to that in a future episode. And if you may have noticed that the audio quality has improved. I bought a Blue Snowball, which was just an inexpensive mic to get started with, and a little better than the mic on the computer. So thank you for listening. And please check out the video description for references to any of the websites or resources that I discussed. And I'd love to get any suggestions or feedback and experience you have on any of the topics that I covered today. I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me, and I'll see you again soon.